Tim Franzen and Brother Marcus Coleman give you 3 minutes, and then Elder PA is going to come and close us out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you all so much, and thank you, Reverend, for allowing us to have a quick second here. We don't have enough time to go over what Cop City is. I assume that y'all have talked about this at length, and I know that there's a spectrum of opinion on support and lack of support in a lot of spaces, and I'm not here to try to convince anybody. Marcus and I have been talking with a number of organizers and organizations across the state, looking to plug into this movement in a way that we haven't seen yet. But we see an opportunity to create a Kingian nonviolent space, an unapologetically nonviolent space that brings a swath of folks from around the state together to oppose this thing. There is a history of police unions commiserating with big corporations to militarize police, and it doesn't work out for regular people for the most part. We know they need to train someone, but what is being proposed is not going to fare well for regular day people. It never has, and we would not want to build a movement space where folks are showing up and getting arrested without their consent or being involved in some kind of violent tactics. So I think it's important for us to go around the community and say we're creating a space that is going to oppose this thing, but it's also going to be very disciplined and very nonviolent. So
I've got a number of mentors, friends and advisors. Just happened to pick today, didn't know Brother Bozeman would be here today. I've been out here a measly going on 17 years now. I know that's a drop in the bucket compared to some of you. Brother Bozeman, President Jones, I hear Reverend T-Mac, as we like to call him, Timothy McDonald, name over and over again, Dr. Durley, the list goes on and on. These are folks that I have a lot of respect for. But I must admit, I'm here for one reason. It's because I saw that this body stood in support of Cop City. That's a little challenging for me concerning the spirit that I know this body to have. On your desk or on the tables, you're dealing with gun violence. It's going to be hard to tackle gun violence amongst the youth when there's already a generational divide. But then when the youth see these prestigious folks, this prestigious body, standing what they view in support of those that are killing them along with the community violence that we have, that's going to be challenging for you guys to reach the core of the damage right now. It's almost like, and Reverend Jones, I wanted to come here personally because social media is very powerful now. I use social media a lot, so I'm sure there may be a member or two that have seen an address that I did after this body had a press conference in support of it. And so I wanted to come here, as a man, as an organizer, as a mentee, as just a student of the movement. I know that this body's on the wrong side of history, respectfully speaking. The impact that you're looking to make, it is the opposition side where you make that impact. It is the opposition. We can't organize for Tyree Nichols. We can't or organize for Brother Mike Brown. We can't organize for Oscar Kane. We can't organize for, Brother Bozeman get caught up when you start throwing out these names because there's so many. We can't organize against police brutality, but then be pro 381 acres and $90 million of taxpayers' money. Those who know me, it's a time to be calm and it's a time to be fiery.
Take about 1 more minute.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. it is my respect that I have for this body. The only reason why I'm being calm in here. Because, as he just said, people like to refer about Dr. King's book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? Well, hell, we are forehead deep in chaos. The chaos is here, so what are we going to do with this? So, I wanted to come with Brother Franzen. I wanted to show this white-black unity. I wanted to show this common denominator. We also have different hues. Because the common denominator is, don't let the governor of this state, who has already stroked his pen a number of times to create barriers around police, protective barriers, executive orders that allow people like myself and DB and our organizations to be sued by police. They've already made it a point to say, Georgia, we don't deal with that mess like what's going on in the rest of this country, meaning police accountability. So, in 15 seconds. So they have already created the resistance against righteousness legislatively. Now what is coined Cop City is simply their structure. It's strictly erecting a militarized compound that will be used to not just train police here in Georgia, but it will be all across the country. So in closing, we're really hoping that the Concerned Black Clergy would take a look at retracting that for the building of Cop City and coming a part of this coalition that we are attempting to build. We want to make sure me and Tim Franzen aren't the face of Stop Cop City. There's been plenty of folks that have been doing it. And don't forget, I promise you, President, I'm closing. Please don't forget that there is a person that is dead behind law enforcement on the grounds of Cop City. So I think the Concerned Black Clergy would be such a powerful piece. It's going to happen regardless, but because of the respect that we have for the members, we're hoping that you stand with us, because by the time thousands get in the street, we don't want the Concerned Black Clergy to have the label as if they are supporting the very people that they have a history of fighting against. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Question from Macy. Go ahead.
Sister, when you hold that mic, hold
All right.
I think the mic is in front.
Macy will say he's with you
He just
1,000%.
said, he just said he's with you 1,000%. Call him.
All right.
Okay, go.
All right.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't refer to it as Cop City, it's a law enforcement training post. And
Yes, sir.
I sort of totally disagree with you when you claim it that way. We need law enforcement and first responders trained properly. The CEO of DeKalb County, the mayor of Atlanta, several people look at this objectively. So that's what it is. So even the term Cop City, I have a problem with. Now, a lot of us for years have fought police brutality, we continue to do it.
Yes.
But just those common the phrase from most people who oppose it are from out of town, and you have a right to do that.
I'm from
But everything I've seen about what you call Cop City is in line with all the environmental protection, the green space, all of that. So it seems like that your movement has been hijacked by some other people to make a political point. So I hope the Concerned Black Clergy stick with what and oppose that.
Well, what I don't want us to get caught up in is semantics, naming. It's called Cop City because it will be a militarized base with training facilities such as bombs, such as SWAT, such as cities. They will execute raids, and I mean I don't want us to get caught up in semantics. And then you said another thing, sir. Another thing, sir. You said like my movement has been hijacked. Everybody in here is on the same movement. It's about protecting black lives and building black families and allowing our youth to be able to continue to be, to turn from youth into adults.
That's your opinion. That's why you look at it. But people got different opinion from you. That's all.
Well, you can have different opinions, but you can't have different facts. And what I just stated was a fact, brother. And so all I'm saying, out of respect, see, I came in here very respectful. And those who know me, I mean, even I think I'm even toned down some. But then the finger pointing starts. See, what we don't want to happen.
We won't have it.
What we don't want to happen is get into a generational battle and conflict even further over something that I promise you, if any member that's here or not was in the room, this would not be your design. You would not be put in a militarized training compound. And let me just say this one thing, brother. A lot of us talk about training. And I know Brother DB, because me and you peas in the pod when it comes to this. And Brother Eldred, we peas in the pod. There's some things that you can't train out of, brother. There's some things that you can't train into. There's a police culture. Certification of law enforcement officers isn't different. They're going to be trained along the same lines that have a history of killing our young people, brother, or the disadvantaged people. So we can holler about this training all the time, but you can't train out a certain culture that exists in police. And I just think this group could serve better. Listen, let me say, you said you hope that Concerned Black Clergy sticks to its stance on supporting it. I know I asked if you all would reverse it. I think there's another measure that could be executed here. How about just don't get in the middle of it, period? Why is the Concerned Black Clergy taking a position on something that is being erected?
That's right.
That's what we do.
First of all, and I'm thankful that our brothers have come, because I think that we can't have it. That, well, respect would have been that you called me and told me why you wanted to come, but you didn't do that. But that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You said we meeting and we met, and you got the mic, but that's fine. So we invite you to come, and I think that we can't have a Black United Front if we're all on one side.
Amen.
I've gotten on a seesaw and everybody got on one side before, and we didn't have much fun, right? So I know that we have to have a yin and a yang to this. First of all, the press conference that Concerned Black Clergy had was not in support of Cop City. It was not even in support of a justice center being built. It was in protest of violent protest of Molotov cocktails. And I said out of my mouth that Molotov cocktails were thrown at Martin Luther King's home. His family was in there, his children were in there. He did not pick up a Molotov cocktail and throw it back at those who threw it at him. So we were talking about a protest that does not turn violent. We can't support that. So Concerned Black Clergy, as the prophets, are going to get in every goddamn thing. Not just nothing. We're going to get in everything. Because clergy, that's the problem. You don't tell the mouthpieces of God where they go and where they don't go.
All right.
We go
Come on.
We stand when I stood with you. And I'll stand with the Muslims. And I'll stand with everybody else. Because I'm a prophet of God. And you don't tell a prophet where a prophet goes.
All right.
But what would have been respectful, Brother Marcus? What would have been respectful, Brother Marcus, is that you called me and say what we wanted to be. And guess what? I still would have given time for you to come. Because we can't build a Black United Front if we don't all come together. All right, so I'm thankful for this. It's not the way I would have wanted it to go. We are still against violent protests. I told the mayor, I told the city council, I told the police chief that I want to see what the curriculum is, and I want the community to have authority over the training and over the transformation of what we want to see in this center. But the other day I was looking at some folks, a sister walked into a building with an assault rifle. She shot out the window. She walked in and she killed 6 people in 17 minutes from the moment that the call went. In 17 minutes, I saw 4 police officers walk into a facility, clear a building, make sure that everyone was safe, get to the assailant who was firing out of the window at oncoming police officers as they were showing up, and anybody else was walking down. People's children are in this building. My child, your child, could be in that building. And in 17 minutes, that assailant was down. That situation was neutralized. Now, we still have to have an argument about assault rifles ban. We still have to talk about bad police. But they're bad police, they're bad preachers, they're bad teachers, but we can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. All right, so I'm going to continue to stand up against police abuse of power. Like I stand up against pastoral abuse of power. Like I stand up against men abusing women in our community. Any abuse is not good, and I think that we need to be able to have some say-so in it. So I told Shirbaum, I told the mayor, that if this center is going to be built, because we need a place for police, as Tim said, we need a place for police to be able to be trained. We certainly need that. But then the question is what type of training are we talking about? Are we talking about Israeli type, Palestinian? I mean, what type of training, what type of militarism are we talking about? And I think that we need to be able to sit down at the table instead of standing on the corner with the bullhorn. At some point, we got to have brothers and sisters in the streets, but we have to have brothers and sisters up in the suites too. And I think it's a both and coordination. And we need to raise hell outside, and we need to raise hell on the inside. And I think that we need to, I do not subscribe to, I wouldn't pastor people if I believe fundamentally that people cannot change. I would not stand and give my life to movement and to activism if I believe that society cannot change. If I gave over and believed that we can't change systems and systemic training, and I believe that we can do that. It's going to take work. But we ain't going to be able to do it if Shannon and Marcus and Tim and Reverend McDonald and Reverend Durley, if we can't sit down together, and we're going to disagree. But afterwards, we're going to go to lunch and go to dinner. And we're going to stand together and continue to fight together. And we're going to, and if someone says something about Marcus, I'm going to stand for Marcus. And I know he's going to stand for me. And so we're going to continue to do that. But Concerned Black Clergy is not reversing its position on the violence in protests. And we're not reversing our position on having community oversight, true community oversight, on what the forming of police are.
Never asked to reverse on the violent protest. Please don't.
Okay, but that's what the press conference was about. You said we had a press conference in support of Cop City, and you were wrong.
No, wait a minute, brother.
I can show you the press release.
Brother,
You were wrong.
Brother, your quoted was saying it needs to be built. Let's talk facts. Let's not talk emotion. You were quoted saying it needs to be built, and that's my reason.
I was quoted as saying that it does not need to be built.
Okay, all right.
That's what I was quoted on saying. Because we have to build it somewhere. And what I said is that we had preachers that were standing out talking about we need to save trees, and I'm standing on a bridge with a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old, and I can't find that clergy to come. So I'm not going to step over no bodies to save a tree, is what I was saying.
Reverend Jones, this is my last comment, sir.
Reverend PA, come close this out.
Reverend Jones,
Come close this out in prayer. Yes, sir.
you cannot have that conference and denounce violence of the protesters, and considering the police had just killed someone there. So you weren't denouncing violence. You didn't say anything about.
I don't know that the police killed someone.
Yes, you do know.
I do not know that. And you do not know that. We're still looking at that investigation.
I know that the autopsy.
We do not know that.
14 times.
And for you to come to an organization that has a 40-year history of standing and think that we didn't all of a sudden lost our minds on something, I question your judgment, beloved, on that. For 40 years we've been standing in community. And so we're saying on this issue, we just don't agree on this issue, but let's continue to stay in dialogue on it. But the facts that you're giving, the facts are not the facts, Marcus. They're still your facts. They're still your facts. We have not proven that yet. Come on, Elder Peter. No, sir.